Hey everyone, welcome back to the Freshly Squeezed podcast. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, we're a podcast that focuses on growth. And we talk about a lot of different aspects of that, but our main focus is on the subjects of faith, friendship, and creativity. Joining us today is our guest, Willie Spears, who's going to be talking about the importance of setting goals. And I think it's a really necessary thing to do for anyone who wants to be intentional about their growth, personally or spiritually, physically, whatever it is. Setting goals is a necessity. And I couldn't think of anybody better to have on than Coach Willie Spears. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Freshly Squeezed podcast. Today, we are talking about some goal setting, the importance of setting some goals, because it's nearing the end of the year, and that seems like the favorite thing to do is make new goals for yourself. I don't know who first decided that at the beginning of the year you make new goals. I think it was should be an ongoing thing. Yeah. But at any rate, that's what happens, and so I feel like it would be a good topic to discuss. And so somebody that came to my mind is Willie Spears, aka Coach. Which, by the way, Willie, I know I've told you this before, but the first time that I met you, and for probably weeks, I only knew you as Coach. I didn't know your name. I'm like, why are you Coach? I don't understand.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I guess you're a coach, though.
Yeah, I've coached for 19 years. I've coached many sports. I've been an athletic director. I've coached basketball. I've coached volleyball. I've coached track and weightlifting and mostly football, though.
Yeah.
So I've been a football coach, head football coach at 7 different schools, assistant coach at 4, athletic director at 3, coached a little bit of college ball. So. Yeah. A lot of people know you as Coach, and it's funny when you're in a room of coaches and someone in the room says Coach, everybody turns around.
It's like the mom situation.
Exactly.
Mom,
exactly.
All the moms
people, yeah, exactly. So, so it's exciting, man. And a lot of people know me as Coach, and I don't introduce myself when I talk about. So, how you doing? I'm Coach Spears.
I'm Mr.
And
Coach.
That's I'm in a coach setting. But yeah, that's kind of funny. But my name is Willie, not Coach. My mama didn't name me Coach. My mom named me Willie after my dad. So my dad is Willie Spears Sr. I'm Willie Spears Jr. And I'm not just a coach.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about your background, because you obviously played a lot of sports too. I don't think anybody who's been a coach of 7 different teams and what do you call it? Not a side coach, athletic director, yeah. and all that probably played sports in their childhood. So
yeah, I did. I started, my first sport was probably T-ball at 5 years old or so at the boys club, and played T-ball. Then I played a little bit of basketball, but I played football from the beginning. And I remember when we lost games in baseball, I didn't cry. When we lost basketball games, I didn't cry. But when we lost football games, I was devastated. Talking about a regular season game, I would go home, I'll be crying in the car. It just hurt me to my core that we lost. And so I was a guy that loved the Rocky movies growing up. Mm-hmm. And I love the training aspect of it. And so if I would have thought about it, I would have said, I'm going to be a coach one day, because I love that part, how you can take a guy and develop him and have a goal at the end, and you can work toward that goal all year, and then you have an opportunity to accomplish that goal. So I've always been driven in that way. And then through coaching in school, it helped me go to college. I went to school. I'm from Panama City, Florida. I went to college at Northwestern Oklahoma State University in Alva, Oklahoma. That was an amazing experience for me. We had a very good football team. And then I left there and played arena football, indoor professional football for 3 years. That was fun. And then in the meantime, I worked on a cruise ship, as I told you earlier. Yeah. That was fun. I was an entertainer and a comedian and a DJ. And so that was a lot of fun. And then my old high school coach called me and offered me a job in education. I never wanted to be a teacher, didn't like teachers. And so next thing you know, I'm working on becoming a teacher and setting goals.
Was the last time you saw him in high school?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So it's been years.
Yeah, it's been years since I saw him, and never even thought about coaching, or not professionally, or not for a job, for a career. Maybe I would help out somewhere, but I was in my early 20s. I had graduated high school, of course, at 18. So it had been like 4 or 5 years. I may have seen him once on campus if I stopped by, but hadn't seen him, hadn't talked to him much. Kind of set that up, though, in thinking maybe one day I'll need his help to be a coach, but I never thought it would be something that would come to fruition. And people don't know it, but back then, he was one of the top coaches in the state of Florida. He was ranked nationally. He's in the Hall of Fame. Just an unbelievable coach. It's the best coach to ever come through Bay County. Like it's no argument. And for him to ask me to be a part of that legacy just blew my mind. Like I didn't think I was worthy. So that changed the way I thought about myself. And then I became serious. I kind of put the entertainment to the side. I kind of put I'm going to be a rapper, or I'm going to be a comedian, or I'm going to be, this sports broadcaster or this DJ. Because I had all those thoughts and admiration.
Right.
I put them to the side to focus solely in on coaching. And then after about 3 years, I realized I can have even a greater impact if I'm the head coach. So if I'm the head coach, I'm in charge of the music in the locker room and in the weight room. If I'm a head coach, I can hire other men who are like-minded, who are going to put the same values in our athletes. So, I want to be a head coach. And then it became, well, if I'm the athletic director, I will be over all the coaches on campus, and I can influence the way that all of our student athletes are treated or are promoted, and what's most important, the grades. So those things became goals for me.
Yeah.
And so it's been an exciting journey, and I'm excited about whatever God has next. But yeah, that's a little bit of my background. And I've been married for 17 years. Tanika and I went to high school together. She was a homecoming queen, 1995, class 95, 94 homecoming queen. The only homecoming queen in school history to be carried off the field by the football players.
Oh, wow.
So when she won, the football players took her off the field, and it was just an amazing, amazing night. I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting married. We was friends in high school. We've been married 17 years, have 2 beautiful children, Taylor and Kenneth. And so we're excited about life and about whatever God has next for us.
Yeah. No, it's probably a couple weeks now. We talked about goals together, actually. Right. Before I was like, because I knew you were actually on a list probably months ago. I'm like, I want to have Willie on. He just seems like he knows a lot of stuff and is just wise.
I don't know about that.
And you approach, or you just said something about goals. You were talking to my wife, Taylor, about setting goals for your family. And you have something that you do every year, and you actually had something on your phone. You're like, oh, I'll send it to you. And you send it to him. It's a list of things that you do every year, and you make sure you're intentional with it as a family. And anyway, I think that's what really sparked this particular topic of setting goals, and the fact that you're a coach. You definitely have to have like goals for your team to work for. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a very good coach. And so all of those things together, I think, would make I thought would make a really good conversation about the importance of setting goals, number one, but then setting realistic goals, because that was my problem when I was younger. I'd be like, oh man, yeah, what do I want to do? I want to write a book this year. Yeah. I want to learn how to fly, like fly a plane. And I'm like 14, I'm like, these aren't realistic goals. So that's like super important. And then one of the last things, and we'll just see where this conversation leads, but follow through with your goals. That's probably one of the hardest things for me. I last year was you always set goals at the beginning of the year, and last year I followed through on quite a few things. One of them being not drinking soda for a whole year, and that just ended.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And but yeah, following through is difficult. And I think that maybe goes back to maybe setting realistic goals. But anyway, those are some of the topics we're going to talk about.
No doubt. We want to dive in first.
Yeah. Well, actually first, and we may put this somewhere else in the episode, but as I was looking up different things to talk about, and I was like, oh, let me look at Willie's social media. I found this really interesting video. You were on ESPN. I was like, is this real?
Right.
And tell us about that experience, because you went on ESPN and you debated what's his name?
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith. And it was hilarious. It was like a 9-minute video, and I was laughing my head off because you just like you beast pwned him, honestly.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. He's not here to defend himself, but I'll take that. I'll take that. It was exciting. A friend of mine, Dante Shepard, he was a finalist for the show. The show was called First Take, Your Take. And a lot of people don't know this. It wasn't actually on the show, ESPN. It was on their web-based show. So they would do a show, and then they would say, go with us to our web-based show. And they had a huge following on this live web-based show. And so I was on the web-based show. Now, on the actual show, they would put a clip of what we did. Okay. And they would say, tomorrow, this guy will be debating Stephen A. when they did it on our other show. So that was pretty cool. People screenshotted that, videoed it, did that DVR, moved it back, TiVo, whatever you want to call it. And I was like all over Facebook, like, wow. They put me on the actual show through the commercial break. Right. They were saying tomorrow you can watch us on the live show. Watch this guy, Willie Spears. So that was exciting. But debating him was nerve wracking. A lot of people don't realize it. I was so nervous.
I could not tell.
Man, I had a suit on, a sports coat. When it was over, no exaggeration, my entire T-shirt was soaked with sweat, and my shirt almost to the wrist was soaked with sweat. Like I had to peel it off. And my jacket was just ruined. I had to throw it in, put it in the cleaners immediately. So I was very nervous, but I knew that he was going to bring it. So I said, I got to come out of the gate with it. I even told him in the warm-up, we were talking, and I kind of, not stroked his ego, but gave him his props. I said, man, I admire you. You do a great job. And he could hear me, and he was saying, well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I said, I heard a speech you did a few years ago at a university, and man, you're really great in this industry. Well, thank you, sir. I said, but don't get it twisted. I'm coming for you right now. Like, you don't want this smoke. These problems you don't want. And he looked up. He's looking on his phone. He said, what? Who do you think you're talking to? I said, I'm talking to you. On your show, I'm finna whoop you on your show. And Molly was like, oh, my goodness. Who's this guy? And so they had some of that in the clip. Yeah. He's like, come on, Willie, come on. So it was like boxing, like sparring with each other. Yeah. And I said, I'm just letting you know, man, I'm bringing it, so you need to get ready. It is what it is. I have no apologies. I complimented you. That's over. And now you're finna get this work. And so I went in on him. And then a lot of people don't know, but I use a lot of his catchphrases. So when I was talking, one thing I said was, quite frankly, which was a show that he had years ago that didn't make it. Yeah. So it was kind of a jab. Like you had this show, it didn't even make it. Oh, he used to always say, quite frankly, that was his catchphrase before he got really famous. So I said, quite frankly, you're back and forth like ping pong. I was telling him his take is one day is this and one day is that. Yeah. So he understood that jab. And then I said something about, I said, rewind the tape, Stephen A. Rewind the tape. Then I made a rewinding sound effect. And I said, you said this on this day. So he's a guy that respects when someone has their facts together. So he respected the fact that I had all this data on what he had said before. Mm-hmm. I said, so what you're going to do is try to change your view now because the season is going on. But what you said on this date, and I had all the dates down, and you could tell by the reaction of his face, like he was like, okay, this dude know what talking about. And then I said, Stephen A., Stevie Wonder, and Ray Charles can see that they're going to win. And so all he could say was, don't make fun of blind people. Then he made fun of my headset. He made fun. So he didn't have a tape. Yeah. He had to get personal. In other words, I make millions of dollars. You don't. That's all he had. Right. And then he tried to talk a little bit. And Molly started clapping. And he said, Molly, really? That's what we're doing. You were great. You like a young Stephen A. Molly, really? So, man, that was a great experience. And what's even more amazing to me is when it was over, we talked for about 5 minutes off the air. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, man, you were really good. Thanks for coming on, man. You did a great job. And as I was telling you before, it had over 1 million views on Facebook within the first 24, 25 hours, So it was really exciting. We later put it on YouTube, but it was an exciting time, man. It'll always be one of the highlights in my life.
Oh, that's so cool. And Molly actually mentioned, she's like, you could totally do this.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, and she even said when we was off the air, she was like, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a teacher and a coach. She's like, well, I'm not saying don't do that because that's great, but you could totally do this. Like, you could do this for a living. Yeah. And Stephen was like, okay, Ma, that's enough. Yeah. So it was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have you thought about doing that?
Yes and no. Coaching is so rewarding. It's like instant gratification when you're helping young people. Yeah. One of my quarterbacks that I coached 2 years ago, he's having surgery this morning. And last night, I was able to call him and pray with him, about the surgery today. So I just don't know if I would have those same relationships if I was a sports broadcaster. So maybe one day, but and then they talk about the same thing over and over again. Like the LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate, they talk about that every day. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like being a musician. If you have a hit song and I come to your concert, you have to do that song.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care about the new stuff you're working on.
Yeah.
I don't care about the compilation you did with Elton John. I don't care. The one song I like, I want to hear that if I come to your concert.
Right.
So I imagine those artists probably get tired of doing that same song over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same with a comedian. These jokes work, so I got to do these everywhere I go. I just don't know if I would get bored, but coaching is always evolving. It's different groups of people every year. It's a different challenge. The teams are different. So I love the challenge of it. But maybe one day, I don't know. I mean, if a big sponsor came to me with a lot of money, yes, I probably would, because I could do that, and then I could coach, get my coaching itch out of the way doing Little League or something.
Yeah.
I definitely want to continue to hear about that mentoring aspect and the relationships of coaching. And I think you mentioned earlier, are you an athletic director now? Is that what you're doing?
I'm not. I just stepped down. I was assistant principal a few weeks ago, about a month ago. And I stepped down right now, focusing full time on speaking and writing. But I'll probably get back into it probably January, February. But I have been 3 different times. And I actually wrote a book, shameless plug, called Culture Creators, where I talk about how to obtain a mentor, how to be a very active mentee in the coaching and teaching relationship, and the importance of modeling and mentoring. But it's called Culture Creators. It's for business leaders, for preachers, pastors, anybody who runs an organization, and for coaches.
That's awesome.
And for podcasters.
Yeah, would that be good?
If you're a podcaster, you should. Matter of fact, I'll bring you a copy Wednesday night.
Okay. Yeah, I accept.
Right on. That's awesome. So you just mentioned you go to church with Jacob and Taylor, yeah?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Nice. I got a funny joke about our church.
Okay.
Y'all may can use it and I can use it.
Okay.
It's actually in one of my books, but it's hidden.
Okay.
All right. So a friend of mine, he's Caucasian, white guy, named Joseph Gaddy. He's hilarious. Like his sense of humor is just ridiculous. So he called me. We talk every day, and he's like, "This is Sunday." He says, "How was church, baby?" I said, "It was good, man. How was y'all church?" He always tell me what this pastor talked about. Yeah. I said, "Well, he goes to a mostly black church. He's in Tallahassee. The pastor's a former athlete in that area, I believe, and it just happened to be probably 60-40, more of a mix than our churches." Right. And he says, "Man," his wife said something like, "Where does he go to church?" He said, "He go to DWC, the white church." I said, "No, it's Destiny Worship Center." He said, "Man, I thought DWC stood for the white church." I said, "Gaddy, no, that's not even funny." He said, "Man, it's Destiny Worship Center." I said, "You knew that, man. This whole time I thought it was the white church." No, you didn't think that. He said, "I apologize, man. I've been telling everybody to go to the white church."
The white church.
So anyway, we do go to the same church. It's an amazing church, amazing pastor. My children love the youth motion on Wednesday nights.
Which is Corey.
Youth
pastor.
Yeah, youth pastor Corey. And Corey and I have very similar age, similar family, similar personality. He loves sports, and he's so humble, such a great leader. And so I'm growing there, and that's what's the most important to us, that we grow spiritually. Yeah. And Pastor Wayne's amazing. Oh, yeah. Everybody's just so down to earth. Everybody's just so chill. Yeah. And want to grow and transparent. And so my children look forward to Wednesday night, and they've invited a lot of their friends from school who didn't go to church, and now they look forward to Wednesday night. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. I love because you and I volunteer there at the youth ministry, and it's super fun. I love working with Corey. He's such a good leader. He's a people person, right? And he gets it.
So many times leaders, they're afraid to let someone else lead. They're afraid to let someone else have a little piece of what's theirs. And Corey just sees it as, it's not my ministry, it's God's ministry. Mm-hmm. Let's all work together. Yeah. And then he does everything. He'll set this up. You can see a lot of in a person, when they're not opening their mouth. Just because a person is good with communicating the word doesn't mean they're a good leader. Right. And Corey, he's just an amazing leader. And he's so unassuming. Like, he doesn't jump out. Hey, how you doing? I'm Corey. I'm the pastor here of the youth. It's not like that. It's like, hey, man, how's it going? Yeah. Let's eat something sometime. Let's hang out. So I enjoy being around him. And my children do. He's going to be doing FCA at Arnold, like once every 2 weeks at Arnold High School. Cool. And my children got in the car so excited. Pastor Corey's going to be every 2 weeks. Blah, blah, blah. And then some other students who don't come, but they go to motion, Now they're going to be coming to FCA.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because Pastor Corey's going to be there.
Yeah.
So children, they tell you the truth. If he was lame or what, they wouldn't come. I mean, they obviously see something in him. And so I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, we go to the same church, Brooks, and we enjoy it. If you're ever in the Panama City area, please visit us at Destiny Worship Center.
The white church.
I might want to cut that out. Somebody may get offended. But my friend,
that's all right.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's very funny. Could you briefly share a little bit about your testimony and how faith in church played into your upbringing?
Yes, sir. I was born and raised in the church. Like literally, every time the door was open, we were there. And when I was about 7 or 8, my dad became the Sunday school superintendent. So like at Destiny, we have small groups. At our church, we had traditional Sunday school. Sunday school was probably an hour, and then church was longer, like 2 or 3 hours. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was very long. So my dad was the Sunday school superintendent, and he had a problem with teachers being on time. So when I was 8 years old, I became a Sunday school teacher. So he would make me study the Sunday school lesson on Saturday in my room by myself for about an hour. Then I would come out there and he would grill me. I mean, he just drill me and grill me. What about this? Name the disciples. Name the 12 tribes of Israel. Who was this? Who were the patriarchs? I'm like, Dad, that's not even in the scripture. That's the background scripture. Go study it again. So every Saturday, That's what I had to do. I didn't get to watch cartoons. I woke up, went to my grandmother's house and did some work, came home. I got to watch Inside Stuff, was a little basketball show. And then I would eat, and then I had to study my Sunday school like for hours. So I was a Sunday school teacher from 8 until 18 when I left.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I was 15, crazy. I started a relationship with Christ. So I was in my room. I never forget it. In my room, and I prayed, got on my knees and prayed because I'd been struggling. My mind was like, when I get older, I become a Christian. I just don't want to miss out on anything now. So I need to wait. Yeah. And it was something that wouldn't let me wait. So I was very active. I was in the choir. I was the director of the youth choir. I was in our, what we call the gospel choir. And we would sing around the community. And then I started doing some speaking. So a guy at my job, I worked at Po Folks. I was a dishwasher. And this guy named Mr. Dennis, he probably was in his 60s when I was 15. He came to me one day. He said, you know I'm a pastor. And I was like, okay. He said, I want you to come speak at my youth day. I was like, well, I'm not a speaker. He said, I can hear everything y'all young boys say in that dish room. You're the only one that don't curse. You're not smoking. You're not trying to mess with all the girls. He said, I just want you to be yourself. I said, well, I'm not a speaker, Mr. Dennis. He said, Mr. Richard, Dennis Richards. I said, Mr. I'm not. He said, I want you to come. Are you going to tell me no? And I was like, no, sir, I'll be there. So I wrote my whole sermon down and I put it in front of my face. Thank God for being here today. My name is Willie Spears. I am going to be your youth speaker. I read the whole thing. I was so nervous. And so then he told people I started getting more speaking engagements, but I felt convicted. I'm like, I'm not even a Christian. Like I know all the words to say. I know the Christianese. I know the verses because I've been teaching Sunday school, but I'm not even a Christian. So I felt like a hypocrite. Like I'm the one speaking to the youth, but I'm not even a Christian. I was praying for people. So I asked God to come into my heart. We had our youth night every third Saturday. At youth night, I stood up and told the youth that, I asked God to come into my heart. I'm a Christian. I'm praying for you all to keep me accountable, blah, 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 blah. And so that's how my faith journey started. And I was very active in FCA. And so I was that guy, not a perfect guy, but got saved early, and was never ashamed of my faith, and always loved the knowledge of the Bible. Yeah. And so I just was blessed to have a mom and dad that thought faith was important. Yeah. And so that helps.
Yeah. Did you have some good friends around you?
I did. I didn't have necessarily, I had like 4 friends that didn't even really go to church, but were good guys. Like I had decided I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to use bad language. I'm not going to go out every night. Because they was focused on being football was our God. And to be honest, we worship football. So everybody, we're going to the NFL. That was the goal, So, and some of them went to major colleges. One went to Georgia Tech. One went to Duke. One went to Tuskegee. 2 went to the Air Force Academy. So that was the goal. So you can't put these things in your body if you're going to reach these goals. Right. So that's kind of started. And then my pastor's kids, they were young and they were proclaiming to be Christians like I was. And so that kind of helped. But I didn't have like a youth group like we have at Motion, where so many people are hearing the same words every night and you can go to school together with them. Right. I didn't really have that, but people knew that Spears is a little different. Not perfect, especially if the girl was pretty. I'm going to look 3 times, not once, not twice, 3 times. So definitely wasn't perfect, but they knew it was something different about this guy, and I wasn't embarrassed about it. Like, I wasn't embarrassed. I go to Holy Temple Church of God in Christ. Like, I was proud of that.
Yeah.
I teach Sunday school. I'm in the choir. You ought to come to our church Sunday. Like, I've never been ashamed. And then when I was in college, I would host Bible studies in the dorm room, in the lobby. You know, no matter what dirt I did during the week, I was going to be in church every Sunday. And then we had every church fed you, different churches. So the Baptist Student Union fed you like on Monday. Then the Church of Christ, they called the Bible Chair, they fed you on Tuesday. Then the Wesleyan House, the Methodist Church, they fed you on Wednesday. So I would go to all these events to eat because the food was better than the cafeteria food.
Oh, wow.
And everybody like, man, he's such a Christian guy. You know, I was a hungry guy, you know, and still looking at every girl that passed by. I'm like, oh, she's cute, but we got food here.
I'm hungry for Christ and for food.
Exactly. So that kind of, then I would speak at some of those events. And so my journey's been awesome, still growing. I tell people all the time, you don't graduate, you know, in the body of Christ. Right. There's no end date, you know, until it's your last day. And so it's been a blessing, man. And I thank God for his faithfulness in my life. He's shown himself mighty over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So I'm just honored that he, as the old folks say, he saved a wretch like me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can definitely see it in the way that your family lives. I love watching your kids. They're so, I don't know, joyful. They're so joyful and happy, and they're like so outgoing and talking to the other kids. The first time I met them was at a camp and at what was it called? Maybe Motion Experience.
At Laguna Beach?
At any rate, yeah, at Laguna Beach. This is one of the first times I met them, and they were just so like. I remember we made the connection because your daughter's name is Taylor, and my wife's name is Taylor. So we're like, oh, hey, Taylor, that's my wife's name, and we started talking. I'm like, man, she's so joyful. Yeah. She's so kind. So we're blessed, I can definitely see it in your family.
Yeah, we're blessed. We one thing we do is we go to Fellowship of Christian Athletes camp. It's called a coaches camp every year. Mm-hmm. And while they have the coaches camp, there's a leadership camp at the same time. So it's anywhere from 500 to 800 middle school, high school students on the campus. It's in St. Simons Island, Georgia. And there's about 250 coaches and their wives on the same campus. So we started going when the children were like 4 and 5 years old. So they've grown up at that camp. And so that's helped their personality be more outgoing. And it's helped them to see, I'm not the only young Christian. I'm not the only young person that loves Christ.
Right.
It's not just my parents that think I shouldn't be doing these things. It's just not my parents that think I shouldn't be watching these things or listening to these things. It's also my friend from Columbus, Georgia, my friend from Texas, and my friend from Atlanta. So they meet these people and they become friends. So that's helped. But thank you, man. We get so many compliments about them. We're so blessed that God chose us to be their parents. They're really amazing kids. Really.
Yeah, they really are. And your daughter, actually, shameless plug for your daughter.
Shameless plug number 2. My daughter wrote a book called Spears Makes Her Point. Go to Amazon right now. You can pick that up. It's just her opinion, living through coronavirus and living through this 2020 year. She wrote 22 opinion-based articles, and we published them in a book. And so she's excited. Yeah. She was on a podcast the other day, and she's going to be in Panama City Living Magazine.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
that's so cool. How old is she?
She's just turned 16. She was 15 when she wrote the book.
Yeah.
You know, so I just wanted to encourage her writing. You know, as a coach, I didn't push my kids to do sports. I've seen so many kids that put all their apples in that bunch, all their eggs in that basket, and it doesn't work out for them. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure if you want to play sports, cool, but we're not going to worship sports. We're not going to miss church on Sunday to go play in all these travel ball games. We're not going to miss church on Wednesday night because we're trying to get some scholarship. We're not going to do that. Yeah. We're going to love the Lord. That's going to be our identity. We're going to worship him. And other stuff is just going to be something that we do on our way to worshiping the Lord. So with that being said, I wanted to encourage her to do something that wasn't sports related, and that was writing. Yeah. And she loved reading already. And then she started writing. And then I said, why don't you write a book? And that was probably when she was 12 or 13. Yeah. So about 15, she finished it. And so I believe she can be a great writer if she has the discipline. You know?
Well, that's awesome. Just the fact that you encouraged it to and put it through. I'm sure you have the connections since you've written a couple of books. Right?
I've written 7 books.
7 books.
Yeah, it'll be 10 in June. But yeah, I have a few connections of editors and people that help with the art design of the book and things like that. But the hardest part of writing the book is the diligence of actually writing every day.
Right.
I can't do that for her. And stuff she wrote in the book, I don't agree with. Like it's like 3 or 4 topics that I see them totally different. But I'm not 15. I'm not a girl.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to see them the way she sees them. So I did not influence her writings, but you can hear my voice in her writings because I'm her dad.
Right.
So
Right.
it's, and her mom, of course, but I think it was important to let her do it, and I set deadlines. Some she met, some she didn't. And I said, Taylor, I'm not going to scream at you and holler at you and make you do this. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, it's on you. And so eventually she got it done. And we worked with a lady named Kim Adams Graham. She is an editor for us, and she's a publisher of a newspaper in Alabama. And so she helped Taylor. They taught more than Taylor and I did. And so it's been interesting. And I'm excited for her. It's great for her. And it's good for people to see a kid do something positive.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about the journey.
That's so cool. Yeah. I think for me, my dad was very, very, he encouraged us a lot to set goals. Like at the beginning of the year and really throughout the year, he was huge on writing down your dreams, your goals, and then writing down steps and action points to get there, and encouraging us to do the things that we want to do, and always giving us the encouragement to say, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Don't give up when things get difficult or things come in the way. And having that encouragement, like your daughter having that encouragement to like keep going and even setting deadlines for it, which is awesome. I think that's neat. I wish somebody would do that for me in projects that I have.
Right, we all need that.
Yeah. But that's so needed, which honestly like puts it into good transition for talking about specifically goals. Right. For goal setting, what do you think is like why do you think goals are so important in general? Like, why is it important to set goals?
It's the first step in being successful. My dad, like your father, had me set goals. I had to write them down and stick them on my mirror. Mm-hmm. So every morning when I brushed my teeth, I had to see my goals. And I had some crazy goals, and I accomplished them all by 26. Like professional football player, I got paid to play football. I want to be a comedian. I got paid to tell jokes. I want to, what does I have on there? I wanted to do a rap CD. I did 3 rap CDs and printed them out and sold them in college.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, no, I do not.
Oh, man.
No, I do not. Someone does. We'll make it find them one day. But it's just he was like, you're going to set goals. He was in this network marketing company, and they were big on goal setting. And I would listen to these tapes of Zig Ziglar and Les Brown, and they would talk about set goals, set goals, set goals. So to answer your question, when I came to your home today, I needed a GPS to get here. Without the GPS, I may have found it, but I had a higher chance of success with the GPS. Goals are our GPS. So I tell our athletes, if your goal, because all of the goal is to play college football, I'm going to play college football. I'm going to the NFL. Okay. If your goal is to play at Florida State or Missouri or Alabama or Clemson or Ohio State, you can't smoke dope because it doesn't fall in line with your goals. Mm-hmm. You can't skip class. I remind them, you said your goal was to get here. Skipping class, you're going that direction. Now you told me this is your goal. So you have to go down this street. So I ask young people, how many children do you want to have before you get married? What? You set the goal now. You get to decide that. Like you're in 100% control of that. So the goal is the GPS, is the pathway to success. Without goals, we get lucky. We're rolling dice. We're playing craps. Maybe or maybe not. Your life is too important to not be intentional. Yeah. And so we're very intentional. I tell Taylor and Katie all the time. I seen Taylor walking with a boy, and she says, "Dad, don't start. He was a friend, but don't start." I said, "Well, I just want to know, Tay, does he line up with your goals? You set goals. Is he part of the goal?" Because I didn't hear his name. When we did our goal setting for the year, I did not hear his name. So is he part of the process of getting to the destination that you said you want to get to? Mm-hmm. Dad, we were just walking from class. I said, okay, I just want to make sure because I didn't see him in the equation for you being successful. So let's not mess it up. And so I tell her, your mother makes a great pound cake. You can't substitute the sugar with salt. It's not a big deal. No, it's a huge deal. The ingredients have to be exact or you're going to get a different outcome. Mm-hmm. With your social security number, with your website, with your phone number. Get one thing wrong and you're not going to get the same results. And so with that comes setting goals so that you can get to your desired destination. So it's like a GPS.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. Yeah. It's a good example too. So yeah, you mentioned setting goals with your family, and you actually sent that to me. You sent me a text with a list of things that you guys do every year. Would you mind going through that a little bit with us?
Oh yeah, I don't mind. Well, one thing we try to set is short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. So not just long-term goals, but goals for everything. So what we do every year, I do speaking, and in my speaking business, I do a lot of professional development. When we go into schools and go into businesses, and we remind them of their core values. We remind them of what they say they stand for.
Right.
We remind them of the reason that they're there. So with our family, I want to do the same thing. So Kenneth, there's certain things you can't do because your last name is Spears. You just can't. Now you can go to the courthouse and get your name changed, but if you're going to wear our name, we're not going to disrespect grown-ups. We're just not. We're not going to do it. We're not going to be mean. We're not going to be hateful. We're going to be givers. We're going to be empathetic. We're going to take the L. We're not going to always got to win every argument. Yeah. We're not going to be bullies because your last name is Spears. So since you represent us, we want to remind you every year. Because when kids are little, we remind them, don't touch this, don't do that, say please, say thank you, say excuse me. Grown folks are talking. But somewhere along the line, they forget that. And they're cutting in between grown folks while they're talking. Then you hand them something, they just walk off and don't say thank you. So we want to remind them every year. And we want to develop them. So one question we ask, Taylor gets to ask her mom, how can I be a better daughter? That's tough. Yeah. Because some of those questions are really, well, you can wake up on time, so I'm not late for work getting you to school. That's one thing. When I ask you to do something, you can do it the first time instead of me asking you 4 times. All right? You want to know how can you be a better daughter? You can clean your room without me asking you to. You can do your own laundry instead of depending on me to do it. So those are, then Tanika asked Taylor, how can I be a better mom? Mom, you always say no before I even get the question out. Mom, you never want to hear my side of it. Mom, you're late sometimes when you pick me up. Like, so it's tough.
Right.
Then it comes to me, Dad, I ask Taylor, how can I be a better dad? You can stop telling me the same stories over and over again about your high school days. You can stop trying to be a comedian around my friends and just let us talk for a change. So all of these things are important because if we never address them, they start out small and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and they blow up in your face.
Right.
And then it's the hard topics. Taylor, you're 16. Statistics say this is the year you're going to lose your virginity. Are we going to fall to the statistics or are we going to rise above? And what's our plan to make sure that happens? So when the boy texts you, when he slides in your DM, when he inbox you, what do we do? Because it's going to feel good for him to say you're cute. It's going to feel good for him to say, I've been checking you out all year. You're not going to want to say, don't ever talk to me again. You want more of that, of affirmation. That felt good. But his goal, and he might not even realize it, but his goal is to be intimate with you. Unfortunately, your husband, who you may not even know yet, doesn't want you to be intimate with this guy. So how do we set steps in place to make sure that with Kenneth? So we're very intentional. We're very direct. We don't have all the answers, but we know if we don't talk about it, we definitely won't fix the problem.
Right.
And so we do that. And then my wife, how can I be a better husband? She says, how can I be a better wife? Everything from intimacy to finances to how we treat each other to how we raise the children. So it's a gamut. It takes about 2.5, 3 hours to do it all.
So you guys all sit around the dinner table? And
we sit in the living room on the floor.
Yeah.
We probably should sit at the dinner table, but we have a pad, and they have to bring 5. It's 5 prayer requests they have to bring with them, and then have to bring 2 hard to talk about topics with them. So they get a couple of days, and then they bring that to the table. And then every year we've had a family member pass away. So we intentionally pray for the people who are closer to that family member to help them, even though they're still, it's over, but it's the bereavement process, the grieving. We pray for that. And then we realize someone's going to die this year. So Lord, prepare us for that. And of course, keep us healthy, all that. So let me tell you this quick story. My son has Crohn's disease. My daughter is type 1 diabetic. Up until they were about 12, I used to always say when I was speaking publicly, our children are so healthy. They may get sick tomorrow, but they're healthy. And Taylor says it's my fault for always saying that. So they're both very, very sick. Weak immune systems. Like Crohn's disease, Google it. It's horrible. Yeah. So my son for about 6 months was bedridden, couldn't eat. sores on his stomach, ulcers on his stomach, lost weight, weighed 66 pounds, was in a hospital for almost 2 weeks. Like, it just was horrible.
This was last year.
This was last year.
Yeah.
And Taylor, a year before that, lost 20 pounds in 1 week. They said if we wouldn't have got her to the hospital, she would have died. The levels that were supposed to go up went down, levels supposed to go down, it was horrible. This is no exaggeration. So when Katie was in the hospital, we call him Katie, his name is Kenneth David. When Katie was in the hospital, they brought a shrink in after about 10 days. And the shrink pulled us out and talked to us. And I'm a coach and my wife's a counselor. Mm-hmm. So everything he asked, we already know. We've been through this, but we needed someone else. But we let him talk, and then we gave our answer. He says, oh, you guys must do this for a living. He kind of knew. But he was shocked with Kenneth's response. He asked Kenneth, because at first they thought it was cancer. He asked Kenneth, are you afraid to die, or do you think you'll never be healed? Was the questions. Mm-hmm. Kenneth said, and this is a 14-year-old boy at the time. He says, well, I just know that God is going to heal me, or he's going to take me home with him. So either way, I'm going to be all right. The man was blown away.
Yeah.
He said, so are you worried about that? Because a lot of kids, when they go through that and they can't play, he loves to skateboard. He couldn't skateboard. He couldn't eat McDonald's. Like a French fry would pierce his stomach and put him in excruciating pain. Mm-hmm. He couldn't drink a milkshake. He couldn't do anything. So a lot of those children think about suicide. So we asked him, are you thinking about killing yourself? And we weren't even in the room. He told us this. Mm-hmm. Kenneth said, oh, no, God's either going to heal me or he's going to take me to heaven with him. So no, I don't need to kill myself. God's got it. And he said, he was like so confident. Now, somebody may say, oh, that's not true. Whatever gets you through the next step. For our family, we believe that's true.
Yeah.
And because of his raising, because of those January sit downs, we had no idea coronavirus is going to come. Right. We didn't know that. But something's going to happen this year that we're not ready for, guys. Yeah. So let's pray now that God prepares us for the haymaker that's going to be thrown at us.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll do this year for 2021. And we believe that God is real and he's in control. And everything that happens to us is an opportunity for us to give him glory. Mm. And so that's the joy you talk about that you see in Taylor and KD. Yeah. Like, nothing's a big deal. Like, my wife they better get their grades. I don't think grades are a big deal. I really don't. I think it's overrated. Now, what you learn in the process of school is important. What you learn and how to deal with different people who are different than you, that's important. The steps are important, but I don't think school's important. I really don't. Now, I'm an educator. I have a master's degree in education. I'm not against school, right. But I think sometimes I know kids, they got straight A's, they're going to be everything, and now they're homeless and they're lazy and they're non-productive and they're a detriment to society, but they made all straight A's in school.
Yeah.
All the emphasis to me are placing the wrong thing. I don't tell people how to raise their children, but my wife is the academics. You better get your grade. I don't even know what the grades are. I don't tell them this, but I just want you to be respectful. I want you to try your best. I want you to study hard.
Yeah.
And I want you to realize that God put you in that classroom to be a light for him. That's the only reason you're there. Your locker is next to that girl's locker so you can show her Jesus without even saying his name. You're in the lunchroom at that lunch period, at that table, so people can see Christ. That's the only reason we're here. So the rest don't really matter.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, it's helped them make it through these hard times. And like I told Taylor and KD, it's going to get worse. Something else going to happen. Mm-hmm. I said, imagine, guys, when I married your mom, I didn't think, hey, one day we're going to have 6 children. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Your mom she was in labor for 12 hours with KD. We didn't know that was going to happen. They wouldn't even give her epidural. So life is tough. I can't do it without Jesus. Like, how in the world do you do it without Jesus? So we do that every January. We break down things so that they can remember this is what we stand for. We don't use profanity.
Yeah.
We don't judge people who do, but we don't. We don't have alcohol in our house. We don't judge people who do, but we don't. Remember that now. Taylor, you're not holding hands with a boy. You belong to us. Without us, you wouldn't even be a person. So no, you don't get to walk around and hold hands with some guy. No, he's not part of our future. So you don't get, I don't care. But what about her choices and desires? She don't have any. When she gets out of the house, she can do all she want to do. But they're too important. Taylor and Kenneth are the greatest things I've ever accomplished. If I'm going to wash my car and vacuum it out and get the oil change and do the maintenance on a vehicle, I need to do much more with my child. I need to be intentional and not wait till tragedy to happen and then go back and say, well, baby, let me talk to you about this. Yeah. So Katie loves a skateboard. It was a guy at the skate park the other day. He was rolling a blunt. smoking marijuana at a skate park. Well, when he was younger, we wouldn't even let him go to the skate park because of that.
Right.
But he needs to know I can be in this environment and I don't have to succumb to their actions.
Yeah.
You know, and so we don't have the answer, but I just know I'm not going to be a grandfather saying, I regret not being harder on our kids. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm full tilt. I'm not trying to be their buddy. I'm their dad. And I love them. And that's why we discipline them.
Yeah.
And so it's a great way. Like God chose me to be their dad.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, why? I wouldn't have chosen me, but he did. And they're not really my children. They're his. So if I let you borrow my truck, or if you let me borrow your phone or your equipment here, you want me to take care of it. You want me to slam the mic down and hit the screen. You want me to treat it even better because it's not mine. Mm-hmm. So I have to remember those two precious children belong to God. And for whatever reason, he entrusted us with them. And so we can't miss.
Hey everyone, we're so glad to be able to share the beginning of this conversation with Coach Willie. We hope it's already been packed with encouragement and excitement. Definitely stick around for next week. We're going to dive into some more depth and some more meat in the conversation with Coach Willie. We'll link all his info where you can track down some of those books he's written and the book that his daughter's written, and some more of his resources. Yeah, thanks to everyone who stuck around with us in the year of 2020. The year of many things, but also the year that we launched this podcast. We hope that your holiday season has been restful and reflective. Soon, in the next couple episodes, we're going to spend some time reflecting on 2020, kind of looking at it from a kingdom perspective. So let us know how you all are doing. Let us know what you think about these episodes, these conversations. Feel free to send us in voice memos. We'll see you next week. And until then, stay fresh.